Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs. Today I have for you a very pretty witch hat Halloween door decor piece. Perhaps you've seen this witch hat before. It's been done many times on many platforms, but I'm going to show you my creative spin on it and show you how fun and easy and creatively you can create this piece. Most of the items I used to create this piece, including the witch hat frame, came from the Dollar Tree. Let me show you how I created this pretty witch hat decor piece. Welcome to all to my channel today. If you're not currently a subscriber, I hope you will consider becoming one. And as well, if you enjoy this tutorial, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with others. And as always, leave me your comments. I love receiving them. Okay, let's take a look at the materials that you will need to create this piece. This is the plastic frame that I used to create this witch hat. Now, this works very, very well, and I'm not really sure if it's $1.25 still or not, but I have seen them at the Dollar Tree. It's a pretty standard item from year to year, so I'm sure you could pick that up. It's covered with tinsel, and it's sturdy enough to support all of the elements that you're going to be placing on this piece. I have here some Dollar Tree mesh. I only ended up using one roll of the black and one roll of the purple. Now I am going to be using some snowball tulle, which if you see it at the Dollar Tree, grab it. I say grab it in any color because it's so handy to have for projects. It always looks fabulous on just about anything you put it on. So this is some fabric. Now, gosh, you know what? I'm not really sure where I got that. It could have been at the Dollar Tree last year. I wrapped a witch's hat with that. I've done many of these witch's hats, so you can really change them up and be creative with it. Now, this is some tulle, again, from the Dollar Tree. I used the one with the orange glittery spider webs on it. You could use any one that you like. It comes in purple and also a silver glitter. Now, this is from craftoutlet.com. Oh, they have the most amazing mesh tubing. That one is a tinsely mesh tubing. I had gotten that at some point in time, but I'm sure if you would like to purchase that, you could get it on craftoutlet.com. Otherwise, look at the Dollar Tree because they have mesh tubing. It's random. Sometimes you can find it, sometimes you don't. And also sometimes in certain colors. So pick it up if you could find it in orange, black, or purple. That is a Dollar Tree 2.5-inch Halloween ribbon. This is another Dollar Tree ribbon. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Dollar Tree ribbons, all right, but it will suffice for this project. It's a really a short-lived wreath, if you will, or door decor piece. So it doesn't have to be, top quality. It's just going to be on the door for, a short time, a few days maybe. And then I have this purple one, which is really pretty with the black trim. There's also the one I showed you is black with a glittery fine, looks like spider webs on the ribbon itself. Now, I also have one narrow ribbon there. I'm going to put a little bow with narrow ribbons up at the peak or the top of the hat. I'm going to use a purple with a white polka dot. That I got at Hobby Lobby. And then I used the printed one, and I'm also going to use this orange with white polka dots. Now, obviously, I didn't get that at the Dollar Tree. I got that at Hobby Lobby. But look through their narrow ribbons. You may be able to find some suitable colors for this piece. There's that snowball tulle. Absolutely love it. I think it is fabulous on this witch hat. If you can't find it in purple, try to find it in black or even orange. Now, I had a little bit of orange in my stash, not enough to use on this piece, but point being, it does come in that color, and you could find that at the Dollar Tree. Okay, so I'm going to start stripping things off of this hat. I'm stripping off the bow, and I'm stripping off the little piece that looks like the buckle on the hat. Now, I'm not going to tear off all the tinsel on this. I'm only going to take off the tinsel on the bottom. It's like a tinsel garland. It's up to you whether you want to take all of the tinsel off. I'm wrapping the top of my hat with a plain black tulle. I'm not going to use that fabric that I showed you before, but I showed it to you because that's an option. Now, we'll talk more about wrapping the hat here in just a bit. But first, we're going to just take off that tinsel garland. It comes off very easily. There's some little nubs along the perimeter of that piece, and just kind of unwrap it from around those little nubs. I am leaving, like I mentioned, I'm leaving the tinsel garland on the top of mine because I'm going to be wrapping it with tulle, and I'm okay with that little bit of shimmer showing through the tulle. Now, if you want yours flat, you could go ahead and tear off that garland as well on the top of the hat. Again, we'll talk about that more later. Okay, let's talk about the bundles that you're going to create on this piece. Okay, now I created 8 bundles for my witch's hat. Okay, you can get by with creating less if you put more elements in each of the bundles. I'm going to show you how I created mine. Now, I'm going to cut all of these pieces as 16-inch lengths. I'm going to cut the tulle with the glittery spider webs, the snowball tulle, and the deco mesh. All 16-inch pieces. I'm going to use pipe cleaners that coordinate with my project. So I'm using black. Now, what I'm going to do is just scrunches. Now, this deco mesh is going to fray. It's, it's Dollar Tree deco mesh. So it's going to fray, but I really don't mind that because I always think of Halloween decorations as being a little bit of that type of decor that you can have a little bit of fraying and it still looks good. So you can always trim it up in the end, but you're going to notice for sure that you're going to have fraying, but I wouldn't worry about that. I just placed my fingers on my deco mesh with the rolled side down, and I just scrunched right down the middle. I'm not worrying about any of the fraying ends. I do turn it under just a little bit right there, scrunch down the center, and I'm going to use my little Dollar Tree clips to hold my bundles. Now, this is how I'm creating my bundles. I do add some other elements. I do make bundles out of my mesh tubing. If you want to include the mesh tubing in your bundles, you could do that. I like to use my mesh tubing as a filler, and I'll talk more about that in just a bit. So I'm scrunching a black piece, a purple piece, one of the glittery spider web in orange, that piece, and also my snowball tool. Now that snowball tool, oh my goodness, what is it about that snowball tool? It just looks fabulous on everything. So whenever I go to Dollar Tree, it's not too often, but when I do, I always pick it up in every color. I have an entire bin full of snowball tool because I use it often on projects. Look how pretty that is. Now I put my snowball tool right on top. Okay, so I put my deco mesh on the bottom, stacked that. Then I put on the tool with the orange glitter spider webs, and then the snowball tool right on top. Oh my goodness, look how pretty that is. Love the purples and the black together for anything Halloween. Oh boy, I'm making a wreath coming up. You are going to love it. It is going to be so fabulous. So stay tuned for that. It's coming up. Not next, though. However, I have a great project coming up next. Now, stay tuned all the way to the end. I'm going to show you a piece from the Dollar Tree that I am going to completely transform into something so fabulous. So be sure that you catch that at the end of the video if you generally like to produce the projects that you see me do. I'm showing you here again how we make the bundle. Simply scrunch down the center of your pieces, stack them accordingly. Now I did 8 bundles as I mentioned. And I did one bundle after I created these 8 bundles. I wanted mine really, really full. So after I created the 8 bundles, that's exactly like this, I created one bundle with a lot of plain black tulle. And the tulle gives it like a very witchy look, if that makes sense. There's something about black tulle that really looks fabulous. Okay, here's the black tulle. Now, you may be able to pick this up at the Dollar Tree. I know they carry a shimmery one, which will work just fine. Now, this is a black tulle that I picked up, I believe, at Hobby Lobby. You could pick this up at any craft store and on Amazon or, anywhere that carries tulle. Now, I'm just going to cut about 4 pieces at 16 inches. And I'm just going to stack them up together on top of one another. And I'm going to scrunch down the center. So I'm going to create one piece that's going to go right in the center. Just love the look of that black tulle for Halloween. Now, I'm going to place it with a 16-inch piece of black tulle and a 16-inch piece of the purple. Now, I'm also going to create just a few pieces of just tulle alone, just black tulle, just like that. But I'm showing you how I'm going to create that one special bundle for right in the center. So I'm just going to place my little plain tulle bundles right on top of that, just like that. So there's actually, I want to say, I think I put 2 pieces each, and then I stacked both of those bundles with the 2 pieces each, which of course you could have just put 4 together. I think it was an afterthought that I wanted it thicker. So go ahead and just put 4 pieces of tulle and scrunch it up and just create a really pretty piece right for the center. Now that's if you like the idea of that. Now you could create your bundles any way you want with any colors. Just make them nice and full and different textures. and different colors. And use different materials like tulle, like snowball tulle, like adding that to a deco mesh. You could even add your mesh tubing bundles in here. I, again, like to do mine as fillers. Now, I did put together 4 pieces just like that, tulle only. So I just cut 16-inch pieces, and I put 4 pieces of tulle together, scrunched down the center, wrapped a half a pipe cleaner around that. And that's how I'm going to attach all of my bundles right to that witch hat frame by the black pipe cleaner that I wrap around all of my bundles. Now, these work great in little areas where you just need a little something. It's also a way to distribute your tulle a little bit more throughout the entire bottom of the hat, because remember, I do have that piece that's going right in the center with that black tulle. Now, you could just use the basics of how I created this and just mix it up and do your own thing. I'm just showing you how I did mine. But I think the key to creating a great looking witch's hat is really mixing up your materials. This is how I collect all of my materials while I'm creating my bundles. Those little bundles, they just have a way of falling everywhere. So I like to keep like some type of little bin or a little basket, and I just throw mine in there as I create them. And then I don't have that situation going. All right, now I'm going to create a buckle. I have this, I don't know what you call it. It's kind of a little jeweled ribbon. I've seen this at the Dollar Tree 100 times. I'm sure that you could pick it up there. If not, you could pick it up at any craft store. So I'm going to use that buckle piece. It's just a little piece of foil. And I'm going to use that as my my base. And I'm going to just cut some of those pieces. Now, that's a little shimmer. It's hard to see, but it looks like little gems, little clear shimmery gems, and you can cut it very easily. It's like ribbon. So I cut my pieces, and now I'm just using some Aleene's Tacky glue, and I'm going to glue it right on that piece. So now I have a shimmery buckle for the hat of my witch's hat. This looks very pretty on that hat, by the way. Now, you could put anything you want on this buckle or not use a buckle. That's completely up to you. I like a buckle on the hat. So that was so easy to do, right? And it's pretty. Okay, so that was easy to do, right? Okay, so far so good. Okay, so I'm going to wrap the top of my hat with tulle. Now that I think of it, I think I picked this up at Dollar Tree last year. So maybe look in the Halloween department, see if you can find that, if you like the look of that. It's kind of a tattered fabric look. So if you like that look for the witch's hat, which I think looks fabulous, you could wrap this as well if you wanted with any type of tulle. You could wrap it with a deco mesh, 6-inch. You could wrap it with a fabric, strips of black fabric. But I'm going to do mine with tulle. All right, and I'm going to wrap it right over the top of that tinselly garland. And notice when I'm wrapping it, I'm kind of gathering up the fabric because I want that look. I don't want that tulle flat. As I wrap it, I want to gather it, give it some shape and thickness. So I'm going to fill in that little space there. That little space there was a little piece of purple tinsel garland. I just pulled that off. That was on the piece. It came on the piece. So I'm going to wrap it as thick as I need to, but yet you'll still be able to see the shimmer of that garland on there. And I like the look of that. You could also achieve that look if you were using a tool that had a little bit of glitter to it. And again, I have seen that type of tool at the Dollar Tree, and you could also get that at Hobby Lobby. You could also find that at Michael's. Not hard to find shimmery tool. You just have to choose whatever you would like, whatever type of look you would like for your witch's hat. Now, these pieces have so much potential, and even though it's been done so many times on various platforms, such as Pinterest, I just love doing them. Every year I do a witch's hat. I usually give it to someone. Well, you can guess where mine is going this year. In fact, it's already there. I just delivered it at the Quantum House yesterday. Makes such a pretty decoration. Okay, so I have that all wrapped. So, of course, I anchored it down in the back with hot glue when I started it and when I ended it. Okay, so now we're going to start applying my little bundles. Now, I'm going to take that one piece that I created with the black tool sitting on top of the deco mesh. I'm going to put that right in the center. And then everything else I'm going to create starting from the center out to the sides. Now, I'm going to put on all of my bundles, and then I'm going to use my little tool-only bundles and just fill in. And then I'm also going to fill in by creating some mesh tubing bundles with that fabulous tinsel mesh tubing from craftoutlet.com. And like I said, you could find a purple probably it just depends on your Dollar Tree, but often you can find mesh tubing at the Dollar Tree. But I would not skip that part because I think that those mesh tubing bundles really add something to this piece. Now, you can see that all you need to do is place your bundle on there, go around the back, twist your pipe cleaners, and attach it. Now, I like mine nice and full. So really fill that up with all of your elements. If you need to add anything, just simply do it with either the mesh tubing or, as you can see there, I'm just adding some tulle, just a tulle bundle. I love the look of just the plain black tulle on there as well as all of the other elements. I'm telling you, mix it up. It's going to create a better looking witch's hat. Now, one thing I'll tell you, try and be careful how much you expose your plain tulle to your deco mesh. Now, I try to keep it away from one another, if that makes any sense, as much as possible until I get it on the piece. The reason being, tulle just grabs on to that deco mesh like crazy. But I wouldn't skip this part regardless because it's so pretty on the piece. So see how I'm trying to separate it? I try and just apply it without having it touch one another as much as possible. It's okay once it's on the piece, but oh my goodness, it just grabs on that tulle to that deco mesh like crazy. Look how pretty this is. Now, notice you have just that little touch of orange in there. And it's just from that glitter spider webs on that black tulle, but it just adds something very pretty to this piece. I have very little orange, but just adds a little pop of that orange color, and that is so pretty. Now for the little, I guess you could call it a belt, or the sash, or whatever you want to call it, around the base of the hat, I'm using tulle. And yes, it's, the same as the tulle that I wrapped it with, but just gather it up in a nice full piece. Put a couple of pieces of tulle together and create like a little kind of a belt around the bottom of the hat. Now, it's not going to show up a whole lot, but you will be able to see it as a little adornment around the base of the hat. Then I'm going to take my little buckle that I created, and that's going to go right on there, right in the center. You can see it better in person than you see it there. But so what I'm going to do there is I'm going to just glue that right to that area where I placed that little, let's just call it a sash or a belt or whatever you want to call it. Now, I do take my tulle and I kind of pull it up a little bit so it looks like it's like weaved or threaded through the buckle. And I'm just going to glue that down, and look how pretty this is. Now, this is a great craft or piece for the novice crafter. Super easy mesh bundles to create. Everything here that I'm doing is really very, very elementary, very easy to do. So now we have another little shimmery element on the piece with that buckle on there. I am just loving those purples with the black. Now I'm just trimming off some of my little deco mesh threads, if you will, or fibers. Okay, so we're going to create a bow for the top of the hat. Now, this is with a narrow ribbon. So I'm going to take out my craft wire. I use a 26 gauge. Sometimes you can find this at the Dollar Tree. You could also use a black wire. It's not going to show at all, so I'm not really concerned about that. So I'm just going to create little figure 8 bows. So I do this by just folding my loop under. After I decide how long I want the tail of my bow, I hold it in the center with my thumb and my index finger. I'm going to fold a loop over, slip it underneath my thumb, decide how wide I want my loops, fold it under. And this is just essentially a figure 8. Slip it underneath my thumb. And as I mentioned, this is a Dollar Tree narrow ribbon. I'm sure you could probably find that at the Dollar Tree there. I'm going to use a very little narrow piece of wire. That wire is super thin, great for putting together little tiny bows. Now I'm going to add some visual interest to the top of my hat by putting together these ribbons that have different patterns on them. Now that ribbon obviously has a Halloween pattern. Look at this pretty ribbon. I got this at Hobby Lobby. It's polka dots on the top, stripes on the underside. Isn't that pretty? One of my favorite ribbons from Hobby Lobby. So I'm going to create another figure 8 bow. And I create 2 loops on each side, which equals 2 figure 8s. Now, if you have another method of creating small bows like this, go for it. Do whatever method you like the best. This is how I create mine. Wrap a piece of wire around that. Pull it really, really tight. When you do that, it cinches up the middle of the bow and just gathers it up and makes it look very pretty. Now I'm going to wait until I get this on the top of my hat to decide how short I'm going to cut the tails. And I'm sure I will be just angling the ends of, or the tips of my tails. Now I'm going to use that orange ribbon with the polka dots. Oh, so pretty for this piece. This came from the ribbon department in the sewing department of Hobby Lobby. I always keep polka dot ribbons on hand. They come in so handy on so many projects. Absolutely love it on this witch's hat. Again, I'm going to wrap my wire around. Okay, we're going to finish that off. Twist it in the back, scrunching it up in the center. And that's going to be very pretty on the top of that witch's hat. I urge you to definitely place a little bow at the top of this hat. It really, really finishes it off beautifully and adds some color to the top of the hat. Now I'm going to add another element here. I have some orange twine. I used this on my pumpkin that I just created last video. But see how I'm adding different widths to my bow. I'm adding different textures. Now I'm just going to create a figure 8 bow with this orange twine. And I'm going to sandwich that right in my bow, and it just adds another element to my little bow. I'm also going to add that purple mesh tubing. Oh boy, do I love this mesh tubing. I've never seen this anywhere except craftcentraldesigns.com. It's a very, the best way I can say it, it's just very like puffy. It's just fuller than any mesh tubing you could get at the Dollar Tree. It's very soft. It's tinsely. Oh, and it's so fabulous. I have this in several colors. If you can pick this up for Christmas crafts, oh boy. Yeah, they have it in like a red and white pattern. It's a beautiful mesh tubing on craftcentraldesigns.com. At least I assume they still have it. I used it on Christmas crafts last season. But boy, you'll want to pick that up. Great for anything gingerbread, by the way. So, a lot of that's coming up. Okay, so now I created another bow out of that mesh tubing. Now I'm going to trim off all of my excess wire on the back of every bow because I need to stack these and have a nice flush application, one bow upon another. So trimming everything off and getting ready to stack. So I'm going to put my Halloween ribbon on the bottom. Now this is just going to be glued to the top of the hat. And I'm just going to start stacking everything up. I'm going to put my twine on there. I guess I'm trying to decide here. Mesh tubing. See how all the textures come together to create visual interest on your bow. Always mix it up. And then the orange polka dot ribbon going right on top. Now notice I don't have anything in the center, and I always put something in the center of my bows. I'm putting the purple with the white polka dots on top. Now I'm going to take a larger piece of wire and I'm just going to wrap it around all of those. And I'm going to squeeze all of those layers together right in the center. And I'm going to pull my craft wire around the back, pull it super tight and twist. Now there's a lot of options for the center of this bow, and I suggest that you put something in the center. Now you could wrap it with one of the ribbons. That's your choice. If you like to just wrap the center, you're going to see that I took out one of those little, those roses. I'm trying to think, I always think of them as, foam roses. Foam roses, that's what they're called. I had a black foam rose. They sell those at the Dollar Tree. You could make this piece pretty much in totality from the Dollar Tree, aside from that mesh tubing. But even that, if you can find it in purple, you could just use their mesh tubing. Okay, there's that foam rose. Now, I thought I was going to use that, which I think it looks really pretty. I think it looks great. It also comes in an orange, but it's not really very orange. It's more like a soft peach color. So be careful if you're using oranges on your piece that it matches. Now, I did go ahead and glue it down, but you know what? I changed my mind about it later on, but I do think it looks great. Another option. Okay, now I'm going to create some ribbon bundles, or some mesh tubing bundles, rather. Now I'm going to leave about, I want to say an 8-inch tail, and I'm just going to do figure eights and create some bundles. Now I just cut my pipe cleaners in half, and that's how I'm going to attach it. I like to use mesh tubing bundles for fillers, if you will. I like to have that. So once I have everything on my piece, I can fill in and add those two mesh tubing bundles in there, and they really add a lot, a pop to this piece. So I'm just going to create my figure eights, wrap a half a pipe cleaner around there, maybe not even that much. You can probably use a little bit less. And then I'm just going to insert them around that, those bundles. It's 6:00 in the morning, you guys, and when I'm making this, I'm doing this voiceover, so yeah, I'm not quite there yet with my mouth. Okay, so you could also, I'm showing you there, you could also add little ornaments. You could add an ornament to the center of that, a purple glittery one. That's another option, or you could wrap it like I said. Okay, so I'm just going to insert those, reach my fingers through those bundles and find an area where I can attach it right to that witch's hat frame. Do you see the impact that has on that piece? I love the little tails of the mesh tubing bundles poking up out of the deco mesh. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful on this piece. Now I will be finishing the back of my piece. If you are okay with it just looking, kind of the way it looks, go ahead and not finish it. But I did take a piece of black felt and finished up the back of the piece because, like I said, I'm giving this one to the Quantum House, and I like everything finished front to back. Oh my goodness, so pretty. So pretty. So I'm going to finish putting all those on. Now, I ended up taking that foam rose off. Why, I'm not really sure, because I was really undecided about it, but then I ended up deciding to take a piece of the ribbon from the bottom bow, which was that Halloween ribbon, and just wrapping it around. I glue it on the back, and yeah, that's what I did with that. You do you, whatever you like. Now I am going to create a bow to go on this witch's hat. It's up to you whether you want to create one, but I did because this is Craft Central Designs and I always do a bow. That's just the way it is. Okay, look how pretty that is and look how pretty it's going to be after I put this bow on. Okay, so I'm going to make a bow. It's not going to be a large bow. Obviously, this is not a large piece. So it's going to be a little bit smaller than a wreath bow. I'm going to leave about 5 inches of a tail. I'm going to wrap fold this loop over. And I'm going to make this in the way that I always make my bows. Fold over my loops, pinch it in the center. Hold everything in the center with my thumb and my index finger. If you would like to learn to make bows like I do, I have multiple tutorials in my playlist. Check them out. I do it very slowly and methodically and explain it as I go. So I have 2 loops on each side. All of my bows have 2 loops, 2 to 3 loops on each side of my hand. So this one is 2 loops on each side. I always think of my bows as having a left and a right side. So that's what I'm referring to when I talk about the sides. So I want to say the loops on that bow are around 6 inches. Now I have this Halloween plaid. I think it's so pretty and I love the way it's going to bring some other colors, but in a subtle way to this witch's hat. I love this plaid. It has purple, it has green, black, and orange. It's a Dollar Tree ribbon. Again, I'm going to fold over my loops, pinch it in the center, 2 loops on each side or 4 loops all together. I'm going to secure that in the center with a little half pipe cleaner. Wrap it around the back, give it a twist, and of course I have, my tails, which are like around 5 inches. I don't need long tails on this piece. And that's a pretty ribbon. Really adds some visual interest to this piece. That's going to go right on top of that Halloween print. Yes, I am putting prints together and I love it. So I'm going to also use black. Now this ribbon is a Dollar Tree ribbon. It has a little bit of a pattern on it. It looks almost like spider webs, but not quite. It just has like a scrolly pattern on the ribbon, but it's a little bit of a shimmery pattern, and I like that on this piece. It's a very pretty ribbon. It's not going to hold its shape especially well because it's very thin, but again, this is just going to sit on the top of this hat. It doesn't have to be too sturdy. It's going to look very, very pretty. It's kind of sheer, so it really is going to look pretty on the top of this witch's hat. I'm just going to create one center loop by curling my ribbon under, placing my thumb in that area, and scrunching it together in the center. Okay, and I'm going to take my pipe cleaner from around the back that I wrapped that bow with, pull it around the back, and twist. That's how I create a center loop on my bows. I'm just going to snip off my ribbon from the spool, and I'm going to poke it right through that center loop. Now, if this looks confusing, I'm going to suggest again that you go look at my bow tutorials. You could also make bows on an Easy Bow Maker or a bow dabra. Up to you, or you can create it however you like. But I would just strongly suggest that you learn to make a pretty bow. It makes a huge difference on your projects. Okay, so now I'm going to stack. I'm going to place the tails on either side of my hand, open up my bows or my loops to receive the next layer, which is that pretty Halloween plaid. Snip off the pipe cleaners from the back, again, so that you have a nice flush application. I also did that in purple with the black trim. So I have 4 different ribbons in this bow. Look how pretty that looks together. Now this is going to be a very full bow, but it is going to be fabulous on that witch's hat. Open up the loops to receive the next layer, which is the purple. Pop my finger down there in the center to hold everything together. Open up the loops, and we're going to put the black right on top. This is so, so pretty. Again, I love the ribbon, but it's the type of thin ribbon that you're going to have to really shape your loops once you get it on the piece. And if you have trouble with the loops flattening out because it's a very thin ribbon, you can place inside the loops, if you would like, little pieces of felt, or you can puff up the loops by just cutting little pieces of tulle. That's a little tip for you. Sometimes I use that tip on some of my pieces. If you ever want to make sure that your loops hold their shape, you can pop things inside of them. I showed you that in a previous video. I showed it to you. But I do use that trick if I want the loops to stand up. Pop in some tulle, pop in little pieces of felt if you like, just roll them up like a little cannoli, as wide as your ribbon, and pop it in there. Yeah, it looks fabulous once you do that. Okay, so where did I go? Okay, I'm back. I'm going to take that bow, and I'm going to put it on the left side, right up at the side of the hat. Now, I don't want to cover up my buckle, so I'm going to make sure I don't do that. And I pop it right there on the end, kind of on top of the area where that hat kind of curls up on the side. Now I'm going to cut my ribbons. I love to not to dovetail, but to angle. You do you. If you would like to dovetail, you go right ahead. But I'm going to layer all of my tails upon one another. Now I do cut them at different lengths, and I do that so you will see that layering effect of the ribbons. So I want to be able to see the Halloween ribbon and the plaid ribbon and the purple. So if you cut them in graduated lengths, you'll be able to see that. But do you see the difference that it makes to put that bow on there? Now I have a little bit of that orange peeking out on that printed Halloween ribbon. Now I'm just going to fluff everything up. Make sure it looks the way I want it to. I love this piece. Now that piece has came with a little ribbon hanger. You can see it right there at the top. So when I wrapped the top of my hat, I made sure to wrap around that and made sure to keep that visible so that I could use it for a hanger. It's just a little ribbon. So I'm going to put my bow at the top, and I'm not going to put it straight on the piece. I'm going to angle it just a little bit. Then I'm going to trim up the tails. I'm going to leave them longer at different lengths. And that's going to be it for this piece. Now, like I said, you've probably seen this 100 times and on different channels and on Pinterest and wherever the case might be. But you do you. Really do your own thing. Add, different elements. Really change it up. This is a fabulous piece for a front door. Oh, boy. Love, love. This is pretty. I've also done this in silver and black only. Oh boy, it was so pretty. Yeah. I don't think I've done it on my channel before, but I have done this many times. Look how that snowball tool really adds something to this piece. And I am loving it. And I hope you do too. Now for the back, I'm going to clean up all of those pipe cleaners just to be sure nothing scratches the door. I would do this on your piece. Now I did go in the back and place some felt all along there on the bottom where it looks kind of, not finished. Yeah, because like I said, I'm giving this piece to Quantum House and I don't want it to look like a hot mess on the back. Now, those little nubs along the perimeter of that frame, you could snip those off. You don't really need them. I didn't bother because they're just not in my way, but you could do that if you like. Just use some wire cutters. You could snip those right off. And here's the piece. This is my teaser for my next project. Now, this is a sign. This is a door hanger. You see it has a hole at the top from the Dollar Tree. I did purchase this last week, so hopefully you'll be able to find it at your Dollar Tree. I love this piece, and you don't hear me say that too much about anything Dollar Tree, but I love this. Now, this could be used as a door hanger or to place on a swag, but I'm not doing that. I'm going to do something really, really fabulous with this. So stay tuned. It's going to be in the next upcoming video. If you love the sign and you're at Dollar Tree, pick it up because I'm thinking you may want to do this piece that I'm doing. Look how pretty this is. Do you love it? Let me know in the comments. There's those pops of color at the top. Yeah, just beautiful. I love a good witch's hat made with deco mesh and tulle. Okay, until next time, you all take care.